yours.
Well, I'm Marshall. That's the machine,
Yeah.
and we don't mess around in the booth here. I don't know about Monty and his machine, but we're good to go here to cover 2 of our 6-0 players. There's only 4 players left in the field who are undefeated. We've got 2 of them sitting down in our main match right now. They happen to be teammates as well. We've got Tristan Wylde-LaRue and David Inglis facing off against each other, though 2 very different approaches to the game. Is this going to be 2 ships passing in the night, Paul? Is there? Are we going to see a lot of interaction?
There's a little bit. Monty did touch on it. Thoughtseize, right? That's an extremely important card if you're on David Inglis' side to try to slow down what Tristan's trying to do. But yes, for the most part, both decks are just going to try to combo off. I mean, if you look at what the Lotus Field deck is trying to do, it's got no interaction, right? It's just,
right.
I'm just trying to find my land as quickly as possible and try to combo you out. And if you're on David's side, it's like, look, I'm also trying to combo you out as quickly as possible. So if David is, play draw obviously huge, but also if David's able to just go Greasefang on turn 3, get that Parhelion into play. This Lotus Field combo deck, typically, with a decent draw, will be looking to go off around turn 4.
What do you think about play draw here? Super important? It's always important.
Of course, it's always important,
right,
but especially when you're playing kind of a
accentuated.
combo matchup with very little disruption, it's even more important.
All right, Traverse the Ulvenwald's going to kick off David Inglis's opener here. And the nice one here for Tristan as well, you can see both players playing nice and quickly here as well. Arboreal Grazer is going to hit the battlefield. That's going to put a Temple of Mystery down in addition to a Boseiju, and that's going to be a Scry as well.
Yeah, ideal start. If you're Tristan here, now you have the chance of casting Sylvan Scrying or Impulse to find that Lotus Field and play it on turn 2 if he doesn't have one in hand.
All right, turn 2 now for Inglis. White bordered swamp go.
And if you're
no play at all, huh?
And well, he's got Grizzly Salvage, so he can just play that at instant speed. He's already got a Greasefang in hand, so just wants to find a vehicle, namely the 8-mana one, Parhelion II. Put that into the graveyard and attack in for 14 next turn. If you're on Tristan's side, no Lotus Field and no way to actually search for it yet. So, gonna be digging here.
Yeah, he's going to start off by cycling Vizier of Tumbling Sands. And all he does is hit another land drop.
See a green card. Is that a Sylvan Scrying?
Sylvan Scrying, I believe, is what that was.
All right.
And here we go. Grizzly Salvage. Let's see if he can hit this Parhelion. Because this were turbo his game plan.
2. Okay, that's at least a Chariot.
Wow, and another.
Boat's not as good.
Right. All right, well.
And he also completely whiffed, could not find a creature or a land to get with the Grizzly Salvage.
Mill 5?
Mill 5, but hey, that's what this deck wants to do. David will be putting on some pressure here.
You see that Greasefang. And he's got the land drop to hit here as well. So do you just go Chariot, start rocking and rolling?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that
build out a nice big board.
Just get that Greasefang in play. It's a little bit slow, right? If David chooses to go for that, maybe it's a 3-turn clock, so that might give Tristan some time. Now, David, however, does have kind of a newer addition to the Abzan Greasefang deck, playing a couple of copies of Scrappy Work Mutt to have additional ways to put those expensive vehicles into the graveyard.
Yeah, Scrapwork Mutt getting the call up to the big time. It was one of the best commons in its limited format, and we even see it in playing Pioneer here as well.
And probably a reason why you're seeing 4 copies of Mana Confluence being played as well, because that also allows you to unearth the card if it gets into the graveyard.
But here we go, Greasefang on the battlefield. That's going to put the Asika's Chariot in, create 2 cats, get it rocking and rolling, create another couple of cats, or another cat, I should say. And Tristan's trying to decide if it's going to get much better than soaking up 4 damage for this Grazer.
Well, yeah, there's nothing else it can block on the ground. So I imagine you just want to put it in front of the Asika's Chariot
If
here.
you see that Sky Sovereign come in, it'll just squash it anyway. So might as well get it while the getting's good. He's going to soak up 4 damage. The Asika's Chariot just goes back to hand here. But, you know, he can have a huge board right quick. And let's not forget that Greasefang itself has 4 power, so there's a lot going on. That was Sylvan Scrying that we saw last turn, by the way.
And Sylvan Scrying, I mean, but doesn't have another copy of Lotus Field here. He's going to run out this Lotus Field, sack 2 lands, does have a Leer, perhaps can somehow find a way to generate enough mana to play a Leer, Sylvan Scrying for Thespian stage, but still not able to exactly go off next turn.
If you look at Tristan, by the way, upper left part of your screen, you look that he's looking away. This is something that you do while you're shuffling to make sure that it's very clear that you can't see the bottom part of the deck, and that this is good etiquette for live play.
Get that good practice in shuffling without looking at your deck.
Boy, he's really giving that thing a nice.
I'm thinking of a card.
Well, so, you know, and just to be clear, he's doing what we call riffle shuffles, and these are usually, if you do 7 of them, you're good. This is way too many. Like, he does not need to do, like, this is, I think he's just spacing out at this point. And
right.
Tristan,
probably just thinking about some of the cards here,
buddy.
But while we're seeing Tristan shuffle, can start thinking about what David could be looking to do here. And it looks like he's starting things off by casting this Witherbloom command and just hoping to hit a Parhelion. Because I believe if he hits a Parhelion, is that lethal? Because you get in for 13 plus the 6 cats, and Tristan is at 18. So, and you can also, yeah, right, because you can drain here too.
Sorry, David's at 16. Thanks to that mana confluence. He did just fire off a Witherbloom command.
2. All right.
All right. Well, there's a bunch of chariots. At least he got a land this time.
Yeah. So Tristan does have another turn here, but he only has this one turn.
Yeah, even the medium draw here from David Inglis has been enough to apply a ton of pressure. Oh, and there's a Thoughtseize. Can he take away anything unique?
The Leer.
The Leer he can take?
Right. So it's just kind of
and
doing
then he's
some
got
math.
2 hidden strings.
Yeah. So every hidden strings without a Thespian stage or 2 copies of Lotus Field on the battlefield will net you 2 mana. Right. You have 2 lands in play. You can untap both of them. So next turn, because he's got the island, he'll have 5 mana with the 2 hidden strings. We'll have access to 9 mana. Right. So
what to spend it on?
Exactly. Well, the top of the deck.
Right.
Of course, lots of great options there. Emergent Ultimatum off the top would, of course, be fantastic. But I don't think David will be able to prevent that from happening, because even if you take a hidden strings, we're looking at 7 mana, right? So the question is, can he cast a hidden strings in such a way with the Lotus Field where he'll exactly have blue, blue, green, 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 black, black?
Right.
And if he does, then taking the hidden strings may not be that important.
Now, what about the Leer? Can he allow him to have the Leer? He'll tap out for it. He won't be able to do anything from the yard.
Right. So if you take the hidden strings and you have the Leer, you'll have 5 mana. Then you play the hidden strings, you'll have 7 mana. Then you can play Leer. You'll have 2 mana left. Then you can chain a couple of the hidden strings.
Okay.
And then that'll get you to 6 mana.
Okay. And then you can do Sylvan Scrying or something.
Then you can do some Sylvan Scrying, but that's not necessarily a win.
Okay, well, it looks like the door's going to be open. Thoughtseize is going to take hidden strings here. David says, do your worst. But of course, as always seems to be the case with Tristan, it's going to come down to the top of his deck. Like we saw this the last time that you and I were in the booth. And, well, let's just say it was kind to him. He actually flipped it on the table for us, which I thought was pretty cool. And it was Pour Over the Pages, which he turned into another Pour Over the Pages and then into a victory.
Yeah, and this is going to be an attack for 14 damage?
10, 14. You go to 4. So it's now or never here for Tristan.
Exactly. Here we go. Just flip it over, right? He knows the hand.
Yeah.
What do you have?
It looks like David's tapped out anyway, so let's see what it is.
And
it's Otawara. That is not going to be enough, and that is going to be game number 1 going to David Inglis at 6-0. He's just a game away from being undefeated. And by the way, he has made the effortless transition to paper because he's been doing this on the at the arena level events that we've been doing for the last 3 years.
Yeah, and David Inglis has been playing the game for quite some time. Of course, he's had a lot of success once we moved into the Arena Set Championship, but playing on tabletop, it's not something new to him.
No, and it's just, you know, it's one of those things where he kind of put all the pieces together finally, and he got on a testing team, and, you know, now they follow him.
Right.
I mean, he's the leader of that team, and he's considered one of the best players in the world right now.
And I mean, is it really a surprise that we're seeing these two players at 6-0?
Not
at this
really.
point, just no, right?
We've been
They're kind of
covering
the
these guys
favorites.
for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Like every top 8, every down the stretch.
And the question kind of coming into this event was, who's going to kind of come out on top? Who's going to have success? Will it be the players, the old guard that's been kind of playing this game for a long time, knows all the maybe little tips and tricks you can pick up while you play tabletop Magic? But no, I mean, it's still Team Handshake here dominating this tournament.
Yeah, I think the old guard might have thought, we're going to show these kids a thing or two. And it's like, no, not these ones.
Yeah. Of course, still a lot of Magic to play, but I mean...
Yeah, but come on, 2 6-0 players. Like, that's ridiculous. Tristan's super impressive career as well. I don't know if you caught it at home while you guys were watching, but when we did our head-to-head graphic, you know, David's been playing since 2002. But Tristan's been playing since 2020. Like, he's a pandemic player.
A little over 2 years.
That's incredible to me. And his level didn't just get high now.
Right.
It's been that way. He's a very talented player, able to pick it up. And, you know, now he's in with the right crew as well, you know, so he gets access to some of the great young minds of our game, as well as all the benefits of being on a team like that. And he has just ridden that to really an absolutely epic start to a Magic career.
All right.
Not a ton of action to start things off here. You see the Rafine's Informant got rid of Sky Sovereign, and we saw Sylvan Scrying start to set things up there with the Lotus field there for Tristan.
Yeah, Tristan knows that he's got a little bit of time this time around, because it is a Sky Sovereign, right, and not a Parhelion in the graveyard. So did have a Lotus field there, but wants to save that Thespian state. Does not want to sacrifice that and play the Lotus field that turn. But
still attack for 9, not too
bad. Still
an
attack for 9.
And by the way, David just always has Greasefang? Like,
I mean, he's playing a Greasefang.
Like, when we talk about it, we're like, well, let's see if he can get the big vehicle in the yard, because, well, he's obviously just turned 3 Greasefang in every time, which he has.
A lot easier to be 6-0 if you can find that Greasefang on
Absolutely.
turn 3.
But as you mentioned, you know, that was a nice hit down to 11. He does have 7 power left on the battlefield, but that is no means does that end the game. And, you know, when you talk about control players like combo players like what Tristan Wylde-LaRue is playing here, you think in terms of just turns, right? Yeah. You're like, okay, I took a big hit, I'm down to 11, but I'm realistically not dying next turn unless he gets, you know, Parhelion in the yard, which he would have done already if he could have. So I likely have another turn after that, but then I'm dead.
Right.
Like, then I'm just absolutely dead.
Yeah.
So
even in this instance, right, you got to be thinking, okay, how can I lose this game? David currently has 7 power in the battlefield. What if he puts Nisika's Chariot into the graveyard? What does that mean, right? Because if he does, that is an attack for 11, right? That is lethal. You can attack with the Greasefang, the 3/2, and then the Chariot. So Tristan does have to be mindful of that and see, you know, has to look in and see if there's maybe a way he can play this game where he can survive that potential thing from happening.
David's left-handed. I didn't know that.
It adds to your magical abilities. For I am also left-handed.
I know you are, yeah.
I think you were setting me up for that one.
I was.
Okay.
David looks a little stressed about it, but boy, smooth sailing thus far. Okay, here's a scry off of Temple of Mystery. This is a very important turn for Tristan. Yes, he could lose next turn, but I think he's going to have to be forced to assume that that's not the case and then just try to set up for the turn after.
Does he have a Grazer in hand or anything?
No.
Okay.
Wow, we passed the turn?
All right. So what is David Inglis looking for? He's got the Sky Sovereign, doesn't have a way to put it into the yard. Also found a Parhelion, but again, no Mutt,
boy,
no Liliana,
discard outlet here
no
would be
discard
GG,
outlet,
but he doesn't have it.
So that gives Tristan an additional turn.
That's what he needs at the minimum. And there it is, an attack for 7, and Tristan says, oh, thank goodness.
He's like, I'm not dead. All right, let's go.
I'll take it. He's going to drop down to 4, though. And certainly will be dead the next turn, barring anything else.
Yeah, and Tristan going to be looking to dig here with that impulse. Next turn can go Lotus Field. Float some mana Also has Thespian Stage to copy the Lotus Field.
And it's just going to be land go here. I think David Inglis recognizes that he's likely to win here. I guess one annoying card could be an Arboreal Grazer at this point because it would actually prevent lethal, but...
Oh, and Hidden Strings is fantastic. Probably going to take that card. That's even with just the Lotus Field in play, that nets you 2 mana.
There it is. It goes right into the hand here for Tristan. And remember, that's on the end step of David, so he's got a lot of mana to work with now.
Yeah, so now you can float at least 2 mana there. Tristan's going to play the Lotus Field this turn. He is facing a lethal attack, so you're going to see Tristan go for the combo.
And we're also going to see Tristan track some colored mana here. Looks like he's going to kick things off with a green and a blue floated from his 2 lands. And now we're going to see Lotus Field hit. Those lands will hit the bin. Strings it up.
Mana, then strings, untap the Lotus Field and the Temple. 1 mana floating. Can now copy the Lotus Field, and we'll still have 3 mana available with the Lotus Field in play. Can cast Hidden Strings, untap both Lotus Fields, and then Tristan will have 7 mana that he's working with.
Now, can he put together the requisite mana for the Emergent Ultimatum?
I mean, he has to be able to. He's also got that Pour Over the Pages.
Okay,
right?
Then yeah, that makes it easy, doesn't it?
And even a Balagate Recovery, by the way, that's an extra mana, right? Because it costs 3 mana to get back a Hidden Strings. You cast Hidden Strings, that's 5 total, and you can still untap 2 lands.
And so you've netted yourself 1. Okay, there's Pour Over the Pages. That's kind of easy mode. And it looks like he's going to go for some black mana here. Can just make blue there with the...
This was the trickiest part, at least when I was messing around with this deck, was just, all right, what do I need to be floating here? I have all the pieces here, but it's really important that you tap in a way that you can actually cast that ultimatum out of your hand.
That's
so
right.
That's the tricky part. At least it was for me. I'm sure Tristan has all of this mapped out at this point.
All right, there's the second Lotus Field getting copied, and there are the Hidden Strings coming in as well. He has no mana floating now, but
so
double Lotus Field untapped.
Yeah, so right now he can't cast the ultimatum, right? Because you won't be able to have everything that you need. But of course, with Pour, with the Balagate Recovery, should have the mana to cast it.
Right, so he must have done 3 blue, 3 black, and then used 5 of it.
Now you can just cast it. You can tap 1 for 3 green and tap 1 for 2 blue.
And that is plenty enough for Emergent Ultimatum.
And now you will have a blue mana floating.
Just in time here for Tristan, facing down lethal damage.
And is it going to be Omniscience Behold? Ooh, a Zakama too out of the sideboard. Going with Lear here instead.
Lear, another Pour.
Okay.
And a Dark Petition. So post-board, things get a little more dicey / interesting.
Right. And David going, okay, well, you didn't get Omniscience, and you chose to go with this, so I'm probably just going to go ahead and take the Lear out. But, of course, you can also Dark Petition for Lear, cast Pour of the Pages, and then play the Lear with multiple Hidden Strings in graveyard, right? Look, he just, I think, went and got the Lear off the petition here.
He did. He knew exactly where it was.
Right. Cast Pour will give you access to 10 mana. Play Lear, go to 5, and then all of a sudden you can just play everything out of your graveyard.
Uh-oh, did we lose Tristan again? Oh, he's back. Okay.
Oh, to the shuffling it around?
Yeah. Just to untap those Lotus Fields.
I'm going to lie to you, Michael, that's what I would do.
David helping.
I'm sure they've played countless matches against each other preparing for this event.
Not sure when I'm supposed to reveal it, so I just always do. Every opportunity. Whenever I think to say it.
And there's the Lear finally hitting the battlefield, and that will unlock that graveyard for Tristan.
I'll keep it.
Can just go ahead and cast Pour. Untap some lands. Discard a card. Play more things.
And this has the sort of traditional storm feel whenever you resolve, one of the spells that lets you cast stuff from your yard, like Lear in this case.
Or Past in Flames.
Right, Past in Flames, Yawgmoth's Will, right? Yeah. And now you get to go and just go through all of it over again. And the fact is that basically every time Tristan casts one of those type of spells, it nets him mana.
Yeah.
So he gets to just play all of them.
Yeah, every Hidden Strings is just +4 mana here. So we're looking at 6, 10, 14, pour 15.
And there we go. He's going to explain what he's about to do. And David Inglis says, I've seen enough. I was so close, just one turn away. But we're going to get a game 3 to decide who will remain undefeated this round. These players are 6-0, which is extra impressive when you remember that 3 of those rounds were booster draft. This isn't all constructed where it's like, hey, they just nailed it with the metagame or they're playing really well with their constructed deck. They also both 3-0'd their drafts.
Turbo Magic, boom, turn 1, Thoughtseize.
Well, that's exactly what David wants to have access to. Now the question is, what the heck does he take?
Nice hand here from Tristan. Doesn't have the Lotus Field, but has several ways to dig through his deck with the Impulse and the Shimmer. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll take them all to 5. Every little bit helps, but from the opponent, that is. But the deck matchups.
So, just debating what to take here.
He's going to take the Grazer. This does really kind of slow down things for Tristan.
Right.
Also, it's clearly a bomb. You can't let your opponent have an 0-3 reach.
Yeah, I mean, it's Arboreal Grazer has done a lot of work to unlock a lot of these kind of unfair decks, if you will.
And this is going to slow things down here as Tristan's writing down the contents of his hand. This is so that he can remember what it is that David knows.
Yeah. And looking at David's hand, it's a little bit delayed, but he does kind of have all the pieces that he needs. He can go turn 3 Liliana, discard Parhelion, follow that up with Greasefang, and get in. So again, kind of slow, but Tristan doesn't have all the pieces just yet, so might still be fast enough. Especially with the duress off the top.
Boy, that's some nice disruption. Get some tap lands, some hand disruption, and then just boom, Parhelion you. Here's the duress. So let's get an update.
A lot of redundancy here in Tristan's hands, so not going to do a whole lot.
Yeah, double impulse and a shimmer are all similar.
They're all the same cards, so he's just going to take one of them. They're all
and he can't take the others. So there you go. You got to take the sweet foil impulse for sure. Okay, Conceal Courtyard go now from David. So again, a plotting start for him, but it included 2 hand disruption spells to hopefully, from his perspective, knock Tristan off balance.
Yeah, and I wonder if Tristan just goes ahead and just jams the Voyaging Satyr here to set up for a future turn. But that does leave you a little bit vulnerable to a turn 3 Liliana, but going for it anyways.
He is going to go for it. And this would be a beautiful setup for David.
Now, if I'm David, you just go Liliana, sacrifice, next turn, take it up, discard Parhelion.
Love it.
Play Greasefang.
This is just perfect here for David Inglis. And you could tell that Tristan knew it was coming too. He already had his hand on the Voyaging Satyr before Liliana even hit the battlefield. But the way that the sequence worked out for David is pretty devastating.
Yeah, Thoughtseize the rest, Liliana into the combo. That's basically everything you want.
That's going to be very difficult for Tristan to beat. You know, his deck can recover from hand disruption, but if you have a perfect balance of hand disruption and pressure, that's really difficult.
Look at this, just a hard cast Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Wow. Not a common thing. Tristan, however, not going to be happy here. David going to put Tristan on a 2-turn clock. Tristan has to try and combo off next turn.
He's going to have to try to combo off while getting comboed off on. Because you're about to see Parhelion 2 hit the battlefield.
I wonder if David has a Sky Sovereign. Is that what he's considering here? Because normally you would think you're just going to go for the Parhelion right away, right? So,
yeah, but I see the potential ramp from the Vizier could be relevant.
Right. That's the only thing that would give him pause, right, if he had a Sky Sovereign.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Speaking of pause, there's a ramp.
All right.
And here comes Parhelion 2 back onto the battlefield. It's going to get crewed up by Greasefang.
13.
And you can see the stress here for Tristan Wylde-LaRue as he puts his hand on his head because he knows this is exactly what I needed to not happen. The absolute perfect curve. Oh, and he's got the last
He's the rest Lily on a combo. How about that?
He's going to take away Impulse.
Jeez.
That's going to limit how many cards Tristan gets to see.
Yeah, and Lotus Field doesn't even do anything here now.
Yeah.
Right? If that's the last card in your hand.
And it isn't, and that is going to be David Inglis picking up that undefeated mark, 7-0 so far to start the tournament. Clean 3-0 in the draft, and he's going to dispatch of his teammate here to improve to 7-0. Tristan Wylde-LaRue still doing perfectly great here, though. He's going to fall to 6-1, but that's going to still be near the top of the standings. Just to give you a bigger picture view, there was only 4 players who were still undefeated. I mean, it goes pretty quickly here as the field gets narrowed down, and David's going to be one of 2 after this round who are still undefeated.
And I want to say congratulations to Mani. You are now on the board.
Oh, the machine. And no, we give the credit to the machine.
Oh, right, of course. Can't give it to Mani.
Because he threw the machine under the bus.
He did.
So we're going to take it back out and give it its props. The machine carries Mani to yet another victory. We're going to take a short break here, but when we come back, we've got more magic. Benton Madsen versus Michael Go. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to coverage here of Pro Tour Phyrexia. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Paul Chan. We are in Philadelphia. Take a look at City Hall there as we fly above the city. Been a bit of a wild ride today. I walked out of the hotel and it was dumping rain. Yesterday, 61 degrees. It was beautiful. So you never know what you're going to get here in Philadelphia. Welcome to the booth. That's Paul Chan. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. Thanks so much for coming along. We've got Pioneer for you here, and we've seen a lot of this Lotus Field stuff, you know, a lot of black-red so far. We're going to take a little bit of a detour here where we've got Benton Madsen, who's sleeved up the Boggy Boys, Boggles as we like to call it. He's calling it Selesnya Auras, but we're not calling it that. We're calling it Boggles. And across from him, a fan favorite deck, Blue-White Control, in the hands of Michael Land-Go. All right, let's see how this thing goes. This is game number 2 as we come out, and Michael, with the blue-white control deck, was able to pick up game number 1, which is actually pretty impressive. You know, sweepers tend to be good against these type of decks, but you can get ran over very, very, very quickly if you're fussing around with your blue-white cards.
Yeah, really impressive start here from Michael Martin-Go. He is your Southeast Asia regional champion, and he's running back the same deck that he used to qualify for this event. So, again, one of those things I touched on before, play something that you're really familiar with, and it's been paying off for him.
You can see SRAM already on the battlefield here for Benton.
Coast is clear. You can play all of the things this turn.
What could go wrong? There's the cartouche. He gets the warrior token off of that.
Now, Michael Martin-Go has a card in his deck that is really brutal in this matchup.
What does he have?
3 copies of Temporary Lockdown.
Oh, no way.
That card is a complete beating. I'm not exactly sure how he won game 1, but there's a really good chance that that was part of the equation.
Those are in the main, huh?
Those are in the main, and they're going to stay in the main.
That is rough for Benton. That is not a card that he would plan on facing very many copies of when he sleeved up Boggles, but an absolutely devastating answer. Also probably not very temporary at the end of the day.
Right. I don't know if Benton maybe has some ways to get it off the battlefield.
And if he does, what happens? Like, do all the auras just go away?
The creatures come back?
Yeah. Well, they all come back, but I don't think you get to just, like, restack stuff, right? Like, you don't get to rebuild your beautiful Boggy Boy, do you? Land number 3 here for Michael as he passes the turn back. He's under fairly significant pressure and hasn't really done a whole lot.
Foretold card here from Michael Go.
That's what that random card sitting there with the dragon on it is? Okay.
Likely a Behold, but can also be something else. Let's take a look here. Starnheim Unleashed is also a card it could be.
Okay.
This is a decent amount of pressure here, though, from Benton.
Do I draw a card? Yeah, draw a card.
And
he's got all that glitters here.
All that glitters gets in for a lot.
Yep.
But nothing here to protect the creatures that Benton's playing from a sweeper, right?
Yeah, I mean, Michael probably just needs to do one of the big things, and he could be in good shape, but currently he has done almost nothing.
I believe it's a 4/4, and did both 4/4s.
Oh.
Cycled Shark Typhoon, maybe?
Oh, you're correct. I apologize.
Could also be an Otherworldly Journey.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Or, excuse me, March of Otherworldly Light.
Gonna have to settle for a shark to soak up.
You draw off the cycle? Yep, of course.
Good communication between the players here is critical, especially at professional level tournaments. You are expected to say what you're doing, not just assume that your opponent knows everything.
Can I get the Oracle text of Temporary Lockdown?
And this is another thing that you're allowed to do.
Can you tell me what this card
I'll tell you, Benton,
savagely destroy me?
You're not going to like what it says. He wanted to get the Oracle text. Now, what he's actually doing is asking a judge. You can ask a judge at any time you want for the Oracle text, which means the up-to-date rules text on any card in the game.
Right.
And that way, the judge will provide that to you. They'll look it up on a device, and then they'll tell it to you. You have access to that information as a player, and there you go. You can see the judge's phone here has the rules text from that card so that Benton can figure out, well, is there anything I can do to play around it? Is there some niche case scenario that I'm unaware of, etc.?
Yeah, trying his best not to maybe overextend, right?
Right.
Given the existence of that card in Michael's deck.
And that's how it always is against decks that can sweep you, right? Is you have this balance of how far do I need to put onto the board so that I can lock you out of potentially another turn, but not have it be that if you have the sweeper, I just can never come back.
Yeah. So Michael's still playing it slow here. Doesn't play a removal spell. And will he have another Shark Typhoon here for another chump block?
He does.
No way to interact here from Benton, so Michael going to just take it here. Now representing a lethal attack next turn.
Finally.
Yeah. And is Michael able to find some way to get these creatures off the battlefield.
He's going to
No
play
shortage
Odonto
of
Vanguard.
sweepers.
Yeah, Odonto Vanguard's another type of card that you can lose to a card like Temporary Lockdown, but I think he's got a Boseiju in his hand, and he's trying to figure out, what do I get back, and when would be best to fire off that Boseiju in the case of a Temporary Lockdown? You know, there's two different templating for cards like that, where like some of them, they enter the battlefield, and if you destroy them with a trigger, then just nothing happens, and some of them you have to wait till it resolves and then destroy them and then you get your stuff
With
back.
more modern templating,
You can kind of just go for it.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Usually it's until it leaves the battlefield type text.
Can't play around that one.
But how about Supreme Verdicts now from Michael? We're going to see that Odonto Vanguard get activated. That will give it indestructible. But it looks like the rest is going to go bye-bye. So no Temporary Lockdown needed here. And this just wipes away the board outside of that Vanguard. Now, that is going to be annoying for Michael, but he's going to breathe a sigh of relief because at 8, he's not under pressure of dying here necessarily.
There's a Sentinel's Eyes in the graveyard here, so this is going to be an attack for at least 4. And we'll be able to draw a card here from the SRAM as well.
Yeah. This is really nice sequencing here from Benton as well. You saw him trigger SRAM while the Sentinel's Eyes was on the stack. He didn't put it on first and then draw the card. This is somebody who's played this deck quite a bit, it looks like.
Ooh, and a Skrelv in Benton's hand.
I love me a Skrelv.
Skrelv is
Defector Might?
great in all formats.
I just like that of all the 1/1 Mites, there's one with a name who was like, I've had enough. I'm out of here.
Standing out
He
in the sea
defected.
of mites.
Yeah. So currently 4 damage coming across, but he's not attacking just yet. He could up that number. I mean, okay, it is going to be 4. I mean, Michael is tapped out, and you can certainly, you know, all the glitters and stuff like that can get you up to there. There's 12.
So a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, he's going to need another
Vanguard,
sweeper.
really hard to deal with.
Temporary Lockdown would be very nice here.
Supreme Verdict will not get it done.
No, in fact, he would just be dead.
And Benton does have Boseiju up with the 2 mana. Oh, but Michael has a Farewell in hand, but I'm not sure that he's got an untapped land.
Oh,
Because if he would have gone untapped land, he could have cast Farewell and just wiped the entire board.
Oh, and that would have been
huge.
such a beautiful answer, too, given that you've seen Benton keep up that 2 mana, and I'm sure that on some level Michael is...
Michael has an Absorb in
Suspicious.
hand and is basically hoping that Benton runs out of spell.
He's still dead on board.
Even if he goes up to 7, he's still taking
7.
exactly 7.
Right.
Yeah.
That's tough. Good old Skrelv dealing that last
The
little
last
point,
point
you
of
know?
damage. All credit goes to Skrelv and not the indestructible creature that's in
Right, that was that dodged the
wait,
sweeper.
okay, so this is... Oh, Michael is at 4, and I don't think he has any way to... No, he's got a March, but he can't cast it because there's an active Skrelv.
Yeah, Skrelv is doing great work here.
So the only way Michael can survive is by casting a March and then absorbing his own March, right?
Yeah.
So you can do that. You can also cycle and still have the mana. Wait, no, doesn't have the mana now to do everything. Okay, that is an Iganjo, but that's still not enough. I don't know if you wanted to cycle there because now you can still cast a March by exiling a white card.
Yes.
So perhaps exiling Dovin's Veto and then absorbing it. Go to 7, take 6, go to 1, play a land, and then cast Farewell.
Yeah, that's a line right there, my friend.
So as long as
It's almost like you've played blue-white before.
It's not a trigger, it's just as long as it's attacking.
I may have dabbled in some blue-white
In every format.
blue-white cards.
Okay, so let's see what Michael comes up with here.
It's gotta... You have to recognize that the only way you survive here, you can't cast the removal spell with the active Skrelv. You can only resolve Absorb.
I was hoping to just attack it.
And it looks like Michael's actually just going to cast a Behold here, which I don't...
What is he hoping to
I
draw?
don't know if this is going to get it done anymore.
All this beholden.
Oh, and there's the lockdown, but
there's the
of
temporary
course,
lockdown.
Benton always has been keeping up the mana.
Also, he would have bricked on the land just incidentally, but I don't know what he's hoping to find here. I guess we'll find out in a minute.
Yeah. And now I think we're just...
Is there a world where he could find another copy of Otherworldly Light?
That's probably what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Squirrel, yep.
Okay, so that didn't work out for him.
That did not. That
I think
did not.
you liked your line a little better there, Paul.
I also liked my line because it involves not dying, but but you know,
that was part of the reason I liked it. Yeah. Okay, well, that is a game 3 for us. So Benton Madsen finds a way to get things done. He hit from just enough angles to get the damage through.
And is that a mold of 5 from Michael Martin Go? Not a whole lot of cards in the open.
I did not see a lot of cards there either,
Yeah.
Paul. Boy, that could be one of those ones where you kind of mulligan into temporary lockdown and just hope that it's enough.
Yeah.
But there's our boy Skrelv on the battlefield, ready to defect. Is he going to get in? That's the question. Cartouche. Solidarity. And I think he gave him the thumbs up there. So, yep, that's going to resolve.
Getting in for 2, but...
Green mana available now for Benson.
All
Benton,
white cards in
excuse me.
hand, so can't play anything else. Probably just looking to get in, or perhaps valuing the protection ability from Skrelv. But that you're giving up some damage there.
Yeah, and it's just it's other creatures, so like that you're protecting the warrior. Boy, I got to say, Paul, that branch loft pathway there looks kind of not great on green.
Yeah.
With that hand. Okay, he's going to cycle Sensor on end step. I mean, you got to figure that part of it's going to have to be a temporary lockdown, and he's going to have to kind of have it stick.
Yeah, I mean, Benton doesn't have a ton of damage coming in just yet.
Right.
And with no SRAM in play, if he's just running 1 mana auras, I mean, it's just you're paying 1 mana to deal 1 extra point of damage. It's not super impressive.
He did find I believe, a Razor Verge thicket there, so
yeah, and that's an
pretty
extraction
nice.
Specialist as well. Pretty nice play post Wrath.
How much do you think Benton changes his game plan? Let's say Michael is on 5, which it kind of looked like from what we saw. Does he turn up the heat, or does that give him wiggle room to kind of pick and choose his spots?
Yeah, it's tough because you still have to be mindful of those sweepers. So you have to think, okay, well, you need to put enough pressure on the battlefield so that you kind of force them to cast the sweeper. Because if you only have a Skrelv in play, Michael can just wait forever. Right. So you have to kind of find that the balance.
14.
What is that, Audacity? It looks like it got countered, whatever it is. Dovin's Veto hit it. And another land go here, although that is kind of the game plan. The fact that he's not casting stuff on his turn isn't particularly surprising.
Yeah. And 4 damage, only 4 damage coming in, so Michael does have some time here. What are we looking at? A couple of absorbs, along with, I believe, a Wandering Emperor there.
Wandering Emperor could do some work.
Sentinel's Eyes, quite strong on Skrelv,
Gives
right?
it vigilance.
You got the vigilance, so you can attack and also just give it that protection, and plays around the exile tap creature effect on the Wandering Emperor.
Really annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another Cartouche of Solidarity here. This one's going to hit the Warrior token, assuming that Michael says it's okay, which he does.
Combat.
This Wandering Emperor's like, really?
Could make a token.
Like everything, Scott?
Can make a token.
Actually has vigilance and it gives first strike.
So this is 5 damage coming in with
Ones that it makes.
a Skrelv activation available as well. And Michael, very patient with those absorbs still.
He may regret that. He's down to 9. You know, it starts to get a little bit sketchy here if he just doesn't use his mana turn after turn. Now this one he can go for the Wandering Emperor, so that's all good.
Just going to start making some tokens here.
Yep. Make a Samurai.
Benton can kill the Wandering Emperor, can choose to attack, and then make it so that white creatures cannot block with the Scrawl of Activation, if he so chooses. It's kind of like a new look Mother of Runes, right? Not quite as strong, but it's a very high bar.
Yes.
Oh!
There it is,
There
the temporary
it
lockdown.
is.
And if he's happy, that will not be temporary at all. We'll see if Benton has an answer.
And I mean, you know that as a top deck, right? Just because he made a token end of turn, right?
Yeah, he would have fired it. Oh,
what
that's
a draw there for
incredible
Michael.
there for Michael.
And at this point, with the active Planeswalker, you just play everything, right? At this point, you can't play around anything. You just unload your hand. And with the lockdown, the specialist doesn't even get anything back.
That is rough. Land number 5 now for Michael.
Michael with also...
considering just cashing in the Wandering Emperor, it looks like.
Right, because you could make it so that the Extraction Specialist can not be blocked by white creatures and just kill the Wandering Emperor anyways.
So you may as well get something out of it.
Right. So Benton can still get in for 3 damage a turn, right? Put Michael on a 3-turn clock if he wants to just keep attacking.
Yeah, I mean, another interesting consideration with Wandering Emperor is, do I plus it so that you are encouraged to attack it and effectively gain me 3 life
here?
That
buys you a turn.
Right. Sitting at 9 and facing down a 3-powered threat that you aren't going to be able to block, at least with the token you have on the battlefield. This also forces the Skrelv issue, where you kind of make Benton start to use Skrelv proactively, and then maybe you can find an answer for it.
Right. And Michael's 2 cards, now that he's somewhat stabilized, has to be feeling pretty solid here with those absorbs in hand.
He can be quite picky.
Is Benton going to go after the Wandering Emperor here? I'm sure he's thinking, look, well, if you have a march, you have a march. Really hard to kind of play around things at this point, especially with that active Planeswalker in play. Because if you make it so that you can attack with the Extraction Specialist and don't go for the Wandering Emperor, then you have to tap the Skrelv, and then all of a sudden, Michael can use the Wandering Emperor to get Skrelv off the battlefield.
Exactly.
Right? So maybe the play here is to just, in fact, use Skrelv, kill Wandering Emperor, and try to grind Michael out.
That does seem like the line, though. You can't blame Benton for not being super excited about it. There's a Generous Visitor.
Is this worthy of an absorb?
2 cards left for Benton. I don't know.
I know. It's
if you have 2 absorbs, I guess you are kind of looking for an excuse to get one out of your hand if it's like something remotely relevant. But
played it patiently, and now it's going to pay off because he's going to counter this one for sure.
All that glitters. Now that is absorbable.
Yep. And Generous Visitor, of course, triggers just whenever you cast an enchantment spell.
Right. So there's trigger on the stack for that.
+1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment control.
Yeah.
You got to just run one out here now, I think.
Yeah, Michael says, okay, enough of that.
Okay.
So there's absorb up to 12.
Buying you some extra time.
Yeah, there's the counter.
Gets absorbed, you go to 12.
And then now we're going to probably kill the Wandering Emperor.
I am here with Benton Madsen, who...
White.
He named white, and that means that the Samurai token can't block. And yes, this is going to be... This is going to be the Wandering Emperor taken out.
Okay, so, I mean, no Planeswalker, just the 3/3 in play with the Absorb. So, I mean, this Skrelv is going to be doing some serious work here.
18.
Oh,
okay.
But there's Supreme Verdict to wipe the board once again.
All right,
Michael
Benton.
Go has had the stuff he needed at the time that he needed it. This is a big turn here for Benton.
Oh, look at this. And
Oh, it's
hey,
Gantha.
this doesn't happen that often, but look, you're playing against a control deck, every last resource, right?
Absolutely.
You're looking at a giant 5/5 creature. Can Michael find an answer for this?
And it's land go. Is Gantha the Wellspring going to go the distance here?
Well, I mean, there is a Hall of Storm Giants in play, right? So if he can find another land here, he can activate it, right?
And just block.
So we're going to see the Scry here. Or will Michael go for the Absorb?
Yeah, there's Glade Cover Scout.
Not changing the clock, right?
No,
so
it
I
just puts
think
him
a
to
Scry
10.
2 might be a little more valuable here. Either make sure you find a land.
Yeah, he's going
Right?
to activate
Yeah.
Castle Vantress here. You really need to have something next turn, and it at least needs to be an untapped land.
Okay.
Oh, how about a land and another?
And a lockdown doesn't quite get it done.
Right.
Because now you're dealing with Gigantha.
And that's a tap land too, so I think he may just have to bottom these. He also could just be dead, right? Like the Glade Cover Scout did resolve.
So this is 6 damage coming in.
Yeah, bottom. Does Michael find anything?
No Supreme Verdict. Untap land. Untap land would be pretty strong.
Fine. Oh, he's going to have to go down to 5 to do it, but that's fine.
Yeah, so now he has a blocker. What can Benton find here? What about a Boseiju?
Oh.
That would be phenomenal.
Oh, that would be great. And it looks like it's a Temple Garden.
I don't think Benton can do anything if he didn't find...
And he doesn't have
way to pump,
anything in
right?
the yard of relevance, right? The eyes, Sentinel's eyes are underneath the lockdown.
And he passes, so now Michael gets another Scry here.
The full stable. It feels so good for
That is
Michael.
tough. What can he get?
There's a Shark Typhoon.
Shark Typhoons is a nice one, too. I
Really
imagine
good.
he's going to keep that one on top.
What can he make a 5/5? So that could also
Yeah.
trade for Gigantha.
Yeah,
Also just will
you have
outclass
Shark
the
Typhoon
Scout.
up plus Absorb, right? Isn't that
Yes.
the last card in his hand?
I believe so, because he had 2 before, right? He only used the 1. And it's all that glitters now.
And for the folks
Benton.
watching Hardcast, terrible, terrible play here.
Yeah,
We are not.
Even I'm not going to advocate for that one. Hardcast Shark Typhoon. Okay, you're dead.
All right. But at least I got to do
So is all that glitters doing anything here? No, right?
it. Would give just +1/+1. You could put it on the Gigantha, and then that would... No, the Hall is a 7/7, so that wouldn't
Right.
do anything.
So it just doesn't do enough here.
Boseiju is like the draw.
That's
That would
the
just
draw.
be incredible.
I think Benton may just pass here.
2 cards.
Yeah, if he doesn't have an answer, or Skrelv would be a good draw too,
Yeah,
right? That would
Skrelv
set
would
up
be good.
the future. You
And-
just name blue.
Right, and now that he has all that glitters, you know, he may just want to
Yeah,
hold
right.
it and wait and
Right.
try to find, you know, SRAM or something like that.
Yeah, maybe chain some cards together.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're Michael, if Benton passes, you have to be feeling great, right? You get to put an extra body on the battlefield, still have a counter up.
Oh, what is this?
I mean, if you're Mike, do you just cycle now?
Yeah,
You just go, all right, I'm just gonna make a 5/5.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
you can't die that turn.
Okay. All right, he's taking the damage.
And then he just goes land go. Wow, that was a sick attack with the 1/1.
Yeah. Every point of damage.
All right, there's the 5/5. And the card, by the way.
Yep. I wonder if Michael is going to start maybe trying to get aggressive. But he's the one with the Castle Vantress in play, right?
Yeah.
We just kind of want to just take absolute control of this game with that Absorb.
Totally.
Just keep waiting, keep scrying, keep up the Absorb.
Absolutely.
Right?
Find yourself a Wandering Emperor or something, and you can really start pulling ahead.
Oh.
Okay, this is interesting from Michael. I mean, you can see the temptation that knocks Benton down to
Boseiju?
11, but he's opening up a
Boseiju?
door here.
He's tapping quick.
Yeah. Okay, he's got all the glitters. I mean, the problem is he's at 4, so this is the type of scenario. Go ahead.
Oh, man, that attack, I do not know about that one.
Oh, I got shivers when he
That
attacked.
is tough. So now that's going to be, what, a 2-2 in play? Okay, so that's
Currently.
okay. Attack with... Is that last card of Boseiju?
Oh, it has to be. How is he just sending both of
I
them
mean,
in?
Michael has to activate. He doesn't have any other line here. He's
Oh, is he about to get got by a Boseiju?
No. Activate.
No, he gets the block.
Boseiju!
Oh, he did have Boseiju. he didn't use it on the hull, but it's all good.
He could have done it on the hull.
He can do it either way,
Yeah.
and he can take out temporary lockdown. He'll get all of these auras back, and when they come back into the battlefield, you get to choose what to attach them to as long as it's an appropriate permanent.
Right.
And that's going to be it.
Yeah, and had he kept the shark back, he wouldn't have died this turn.
Yep. Oh, that's rough.
That was really... I mean, you have it nearly locked up there.
Right. And I mean, there's no worse feeling than being a control player, being in a stable spot, and then looking down and seeing an absorb in your hand that, you know.
That is tough.
Wow, that Boseiju. Oh, it was so nasty from Benton Madsen. And he's going to pick up the match 2-1. Remember, these were our other 2 undefeated players as well, so they're both in great shape. Michael Go, he's still looking really good at 6-1 now, but he is definitely going to look back at that one and say, maybe I should have held back a little there.
Yeah, 1 Boseiju in the main, 1 Boseiju in the sideboard.
Wow.
What a clutch draw here, because Michael, on that mold of 5, nearly turned it around there.
Incredible. All right, well, that's going to do it for this round. We've got one more to bring you, but we're going to take a short break. When we come back from that, it'll be Maria at the news desk who set you up for the last round. Don't go anywhere.